Hey everyone. Okay, so big thing I'd say this chapter did is set the stage going into this arc as we cut to Uzuki and his group discussing the aftermath of the attack on the JA's Kanto branch, more specifically Takamura and the next steps after that, which is, in the former's case, is them pretty much glazing Takamura and saying how he's the embodiment of the phrase, men die young for a reason, because old men are terrifying, but the more important thing to talk about is Uzuki saying the next step is recruitment and how they need to bolster their numbers. So his next step is to target the JCC in a recruitment drive, which, yeah, no matter how that goes, I can only imagine the interview process is going to be a little bit more than just like sitting down to have a discussion about the person's resume and qualifications. Like they're gonna want to see something practical too, some practical application. Now, in saying that, the end of the chapter does introduce us as well to a new character who I'm sure is going to be a focal point of this arc, and it goes without saying very likely someone related to this cow person, which, full disclosure on that one, the new anime opening kind of ruined the reveal of who a cow is to me. So when I saw that woman with the when I saw that woman with the long scraggy hair in the opening, it wasn't hard to put two and two together of who a cow is now. When and especially when I read this chapter and saw the girl's introduction. So just just a heads up when it happens. That's a reveal that kind of got ruined for me because of the anime opening. Although for me, the more interesting part it will always be kind of discovering just what the nature of that relationship is and how they're related. Because just knowing this kind of ahead of time too, it does kind of make things a little more interesting, and just thinking how the dynamics between Taro and this girl are going to play out, because it's, regardless of how it plays out, it's guaranteed to dredge up some old and likely very painful memories for Taro, regardless of what their interactions look like. With that said, I also want to talk about the beginning, because Shishiba and Osaragi's conversation is very interesting in how effective Uzuki was. Which, spoiler, yeah, this was the point where Uzuki kind of succeeded the most, as Shishiba pretty much even lays out. Not only are they having to divert resources to cover the damages, but also the JAA is losing clientele. They're losing standing in Japan. Like, people are losing trust in the organization itself as long as Uzuki remains at large. So, however, which way you slice this situation, like the JAA are losing this war against Uzuki and his group, and now, as Shishiba put it himself, the next plan is to fully mobilize the order and go on the direct attack. Which, yeah, whenever stuff like this happens, it's pretty common that in this particular case, it's very likely going to complicate matters for Taro, because if the JA are fully mobilizing after this incident, that just means more trouble for Taro and his group, because since Taro himself isn't an assassin anymore, he doesn't really have the credentials or pull to claim that they're just allies, point blank. Like, Taro is just going to be seen as a nuisance to JA, and it feels like this situation is starting to evolve to the point of a three-way war between Uzuki and his group, the JA, and Taro's group, and that's not even to talk about the new wild card that was mentioned, being Guri. The thing, like, things are, no matter how you slice it, things are gonna escalate for the worst beyond this point. That's just my 2 cents on it. Aside from that, though, I really do like how we get a bit of kind of world building with this chapter on the plane, just from with that scene on the plane, like, showing that, yeah, despite it being a school, the JCC really has no age limit of who can apply to become an assassin, which in itself does make sense. The JA are looking for the best of the best. It really doesn't matter what age you are, so long as you have the ability to perform, and really just gives an insight in itself that there's actually very few restrictions when it comes to the requirements to become an assassin, even when factoring in the more bureaucratic end of things, which in itself bureaucratic end of things. And I will say this: the whole setup in itself, like I don't even need to read the next chapter to know how it's going to play out. A plane full of assassins, of assassin candidates. Yeah, it's pretty clear that this whole plane ride is basically the first test, and which means that the passenger number is going to get thinned quite a bit even before they land, but although maybe that in itself is, you could say, is although you could say maybe stuff like this in itself also kind of feeds more into the idea that for Uzuki, this isn't this like the whole idea itself of the JA. This isn't about changing the system or anything for him. He just wants the system destroyed because he's got a vendetta against the JA. Full stop. Like no other reason than that. And I can't lie. It in a weird way, it is kind of refreshing that there with Uzuki specifically, there's no kind of overarching reason outside of pure revenge that motivates him, because now in that particular scenario, it's about putting the pieces together of why he wants revenge. What did the JAA do that put Uzuki on this path of wanting their total destruction? What was it that caused him to snap? And because while the reasons behind Uzuki's actions carry intriguing questions about his past, the further down this rabbit hole we go, the more it does also bring up the question of what kind of skeletons the JA have stuffed in their closet in regards to their own past. Because as much as Uzuki himself might be is legitimately killing people, and there's no his actions do continuously bring up the question of just what is the JA hiding in all this too. Like it's bringing up that thing of you can't really trust the JA either. Frankly, they're kind of just as they're probably just as culpable in whatever the fuck happened to Uzuki, frankly. But yeah, guys, that's pretty much all I got for this review. If you enjoyed the video, like, comment, subscribe, follow me on Blue Sky, and on this Crunchyroll, be sure to forget about the subscribe button and just share the ring, guys. Dark Knight of the Night signing off. Later, everyone.